different charities on their fundraising strategy, campaign development, with a specialism really in individual giving and supporter experience. And I've been on a bit of a journey, I think, with AI from a complete novice, probably 18 months ago, didn't really know much about it, to someone who's become quite, I guess, evangelical about the opportunities it brings and how we might be able to use it within our fundraising. And it's very much early days. It's really interesting on the poll that people have heard of some of the, the top tools like OpenAI, Copilot, Gemini, and those are what people tend to use when they're using AI. A couple of people using Claude, but Nano Banana, that's the image generator within Google Gemini, and so is the video generation within ChatGPT. So it's interesting to see where people are, and some of these vibe coding tools that I'm going to talk about. I'll make sure I explain them in easy to understand ways and things. So I'm going to share my screen and get the presentation started. And this, what I want to do is not really a lot of theory, but here's how I'm using AI, and it might be something, if you're curious, that you can use AI in the same way. And I'm going to share how I'm using it and the ways I found it work well and to get the best outputs, and to really give you a practical guide to the art of the possible. And all of this is stuff that I've self-taught, learned myself, and hopefully are things that will be useful to you in your fundraising. With that, so hopefully my screen is shared now. I'll let people in who still come in. So yeah, we're going to share all the slides. So just a couple of quotes to start with, because I think there's rightly worries about AI, and this is a quote I love, that I want AI to do the dirty stuff, the stuff I don't like doing, not to take over the art and writing that I love and the creativity. And I think this is really important, that we're not outsourcing our thinking, and not outsourcing doing the things that we still love. This is to help us with the heavy lifting and the stuff that we might not necessarily enjoy. And I think this, I got this quote came through on an email this week, and I thought it was a really like that it really resonated with me. Is that we all love AI when it can help us do the things that we hate, because it makes our life easier. But we sort of get a little bit resentful and jealous when it does the things that we love. So this guy's an author and a writer, and obviously he thinks it's terrible to use AI for writing and sort of creating stories and things, because that's what he does and he loves that and he doesn't want someone to replace that. But he's doing using things to create music with AI because he doesn't have that musical talent, and it's opening up new creative ways that he can be creative. But he'd say, like, well, musicians, they're going to hate me for using that because that's what they love doing. So I think it's finding out, so for me in fundraising, there's bits of fundraising that I like to think I'm pretty good at, and there's bits that I'm not as good at and need help with, and that's where combining the two things together is really powerful. This was again interesting, and this is one of my key things, is your skill ceiling is AI's output ceiling. The output you get from AI are only as good as the input you put in. So it's a bit like, in the data world for years, you might have heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out. And very much with AI, the same is, if you're not putting good prompts in, you're not putting interesting things in, you're not going to get a lot of interesting things out either. And so I think people are going to split into sort of two types. There might even be a third who just actively oppose it. But the first type is using AI to help with their thinking and get solutions iteratively by working with the AI and doing things that couldn't reach alone. Whereas for others, it's delegating and not learning and just slavishly accepting the outputs. So I created this little thing. I think you can either be an AI zombie, or you can see AI as your little Yoda guide, Jedi guide, pointing you in the right direction and training you and helping you. So I think this is one of the key things: is are you going to be an AI zombie, or are you going to be use it as your sort of Jedi superpower as well? And we don't want to be the zombie fundraisers, just slavishly pumping out a quick trust application or a generic thank you letter or an appeal with no context or anything. So that's just a little background and context. Feel free to share any questions in the chat as well. And I said something around yesterday for people who registered and it's on the blog, but I've spoken to a few charities recently. Oh yeah, we're using AI. We use Copilot, and Copilot is not enough. That'd be if you take one thing away from this, and your IT team are insisting you only use Copilot, try and get them to change their mind, because it's limiting you in so many ways if you just if that's the only AI. And what inevitably is happening, and I've done a few workshops now with different charities, is that people are working around it. They're using ChatGPT without telling the IT team. They're creating things, I did a workshop at a hospice, and it turned out that one of their consultants was actually using it to help with dosing things for morphine for the patient. And the chief exec's face just dropped. They were absolutely mortified. And it was, yeah, it was quite an eye opener that staff are using AI in ways that the rest of the organization might not be fully aware of. So I'll stop sharing that. That's there. So I'm going to move on now. So the first thing I think everyone needs to do is, well, if you're not going to be a zombie, how do you create the AI brain? And there's a couple of different parts to it. The first is creating a central place to store key information on your charity. Your strategy, your annual report, your brand, your tone of voice, any successful appeals, trust applications, key messages everywhere. And I'll come out of here for a second. Let me get the next thing up. So what I've done is create a template that you can use, and you can adapt this. Make sure so here's a profile template, where you're adding in your information. You can even ask AI to, you can give it your annual report, link to the Charity Commission register, link to pages on your website. It'll actually fill this in for you if you prompt it right. So you're asking about your beneficiaries and impact, your key stories and metrics, your USP, your fundraising contact, etc. So you can see lots of different stuff in there. I won't go through it all, but you get the idea that you're trying to build up a repository of all the stuff about your charity and the best of your charity and the knowledge. So it's not starting from blank every time. It's got this memory to do it, and then you can give it custom instructions as well based on what you want it to do. And then the next thing you need to do is your research. So that's about your charity. What areas of fundraising are you working in? Who are your competitors? What are concepts and frameworks that are really helpful, and what are examples you love? And for me, one of the best ways I found of doing this is in something called Notebook LM, which is a Google product, free to use. If you pay, you get more capacity and you get more products you can use. But I've created all these notebooks with all the presentations, the frameworks, the conference stuff I've picked up over the 5 years of being fundraising, and created these notebooks. You can see 41 sources on culture and leadership, 136 on support journeys and experience, 82 on creating propositions and fun and things. So this is the data one. And what I have is all these different articles, my own book, all different stuff here. And then you can start asking questions on your library, and you can ask it. Here I've been asking what's in a particular framework. And then you have all the tools here where you can create podcasts on it, podcasts on the thing, audio overviews. I even create some videos to explain some of the key contexts. You can do these in your own.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down a framework for real culture change.
So many organizations want to use data but find it really, really hard.
So you can use this in lots of different ways. You could do it for inductions for your staff if you trained it. So you might have a staff version of this. You might have fundraising, a trust and grants version, a corporate version, etc. But you're building up this data knowledge. You can do quizzes on it, create slide decks. It's really powerful now that you can give it prompts on the style that you want. Same with the create infographics as well. You've got the video, you've got all these different visual styles and things you use. So really powerful way to do it. One of the other things that I always recommend is doing what I call deep research. And there's a little button on ChatGPT. You can run them for free on Perplexity. They exist in Gemini and Claude. And these are just doing research on projects and topics of interest to you. So again, this is full prompts in the notes, but again, I've trained something to be a really good researcher for me and give it the rules of what I want you to do when you're conducting research and how to conduct it. And like I said, we've got the various bits and pieces there. So what I've done is Cerebra, Max is on the call, and a few other people from Cerebra are here, so lovely to see you all. Last year they won our Accelerator Program Award, and we're working with them across their fundraising to help build capacity, develop campaigns. And we had a great session in person last week, and Max very kindly let me go a little bit wild and say, right, okay, how might we use some of these tools to then create a campaign for Cerebra based on this. So I'll show you what I've done with Cerebra. So what we do, I'm using Claude. I'm finding Claude giving the best outputs at the minute for my work. But you can do this within ChatGPT. You can do it within Gemini as well. So I've created a project for Cerebra based on what I know. I've come up with the project instructions. There's brand, tone of voice things in there. Some key information on it. This is the profile, based on that document I said earlier. This has got the mission and purpose, the core services. This is all publicly available information. There's no private information. All this is available, on the website, in the annual reports, etc. Then it uploaded things like their impact report, their Christmas appeal, etc. So we're creating a fundraising brain for Cerebra. And then I'll show you how we've then gone on to use that. So go back in here. Yeah, I'll show you this next. So what we have within this, and so what we combine is that information on Cerebra, and it's got why I love Claude. It's got these things called skills. So I've created a virtual, an AI legacy fundraiser, an AI case writer, an AI support journey designer, almost like an extra employee, based on all the frameworks and methodologies that I know have worked within fundraising, a copywriter, an analyst. So if we take the legacy fundraising one, for example, you can see here it's got key stats about the UK legacy market. It's got common pitfalls to avoid. It's basically created a scale. It uses the research of the likes of Russell James, Claire Routler, all these experts in legacy fundraising. And you create this scale, and then it's got these references here. So it's got great references and examples and case studies that are all publicly available and are published. Obviously, big shout out to Sophie, where a lot of these come from. And then this is stuff on, what is a legacy proposition, what evidence-based themes, what works, psychological foundation. So this skill is now available across all my projects. So where the magic of AI comes is your charity specific information plus specific fundraising skills that you've trained it on, best practice, on things that you know work, on things that are helpful. So what we have in effect then is the charity AI brain, my fundraising AI brain skills, but then your knowledge and experience. And I think this is where, when you combine those three things together, that's the combo that moves you from AI being a novelty to being genuinely helpful and creating some great outcomes. So this is what I thought we do, is just talk you through how I would use AI then, using those skills, using that Cerebra information to develop a campaign. So we had like I mentioned, we had an in-person session last week, got the stories from the team, understand the context, heard their passion for the different services. And it seemed like their innovation center, which designs bespoke equipment for children with brain conditions, does some incredible work and some amazing stories to tell. That'd be a good starting point. So what I did off the back of, off the back of the meeting, if we go back here, is first of all, here's all the information on the Innovation Centre. Use the fundraising case writer skill to write a case for support specifically for the Cerebra Innovation Centre. I completely made up, so I don't scare anybody on the call from Cerebra. We've not signed up. This is just me making it up to make the example. And then it goes off, reads all the project files, understands it, etc. And then it creates vision, enemy, hero, etc. And if I open up here, I've then got a fully worded, I think 18-page case for support that goes through working wonders, the vision, the enemy, the hero, the transformation, case studies, why it's unique, the opportunity, why now, why us, what happens without your support, so that sense of loss, which we know is powerful. Why the ask that we might make, frequently asked questions, how to make a gift, and then like a contact. So that's just based from the outputs from the team. So plus all the information that's on their website, we've created that. And you then need to go in finesse and change it and check what's possible. So now we've got our case for support. I can say, okay, we're going to do this appeal in the summer. So there's the case for support. I've uploaded that. Help us develop the beginning. 10 potential names for the campaign. 3 potential taglines for each campaign that give a sense of urgency. And again, we're using the skill. So the copywriter skill on this time. And here we go. 10 campaign taglines, Summer of Wonders, tagline A, tagline B, tagline C, end of summer, ABC. So you've got all these ones here. Some of them are crap, I'm not going to lie, but that's fine. They're probably crap if you were doing it yourself. Some of them are good. And again, the joy for me comes from combining and adding things in and bringing them together. So gets them, and then it gives an analysis of which one it recommends, which one's identity based, which one's urgent, which one's empowerment, what's best for broad, what's most distinctive. So then what I said is actually, outside of families with lived experience, our primary audience is likely to be grandparents and older mums, empty nesters. Check your recommendations and adapt as needed. The other thing is to think when you're using AI is, how do you challenge it? Don't be afraid, don't accept, if you don't like something, tell it and challenge it to do better or to do more. And then that then comes up with 10 campaign names with taglines, which are revised for grandparents. And it's got 2 here that are starred and recommended. Coincidentally, I actually agreed with it, and I thought those were probably the best one. They had another one here, kids. And then here's the recommendation for this audience, why, what they changed and removed. And then what we do is go on to send, well, okay, I now want ideas of how we might bring that to light with the launch, a PR stunt, engagement involvement devices to get people interested and wanting to find out more, and want them to be outside of direct mail and Facebook ads, because we'll come to them later. So again, spit out all these ideas, probably 50 or so ideas. If I go back into Canva, where are we? So we've done all that. This is what we've all done. So I've just put these in a simple matrix. There was more than this, just to example. But actually, when you go through it, like I say, some of these are just complete rubbish and nonsense. But there's little ideas and bits of them, and I've got my notepad here, and I went through them all, and I thought, oh, I like the sentence from that one, and oh, there's something in that I think is quite good. And actually, what you do is blend it together. One of my favorite prompts is something called Scamper, which is an innovation technique that helps you build and iterate on ideas. And again, it's in the templates that I'll share and send you. And that helps you. So you might pick two of these to then delve down and ask it to do 10 more ideas. We like these three. Come up with 5 other ideas for each of them. And that's the great thing about AI. It doesn't get tired, and it doesn't, it'll keep spitting out things for as long as you want and need it. So this is the Scamper thing that we use. And this is the key thing. It's the human review, build on it. So what I did is, I slept on it, took the dog out for a walk, got some fresh air, and basically, using my fundraising experience, I think, actually, you know what? I think there's a really good, again, I took some shortcuts, but there's a hybrid abroad combining both of the appeals. So we might have this No Child Misses Out day to launch it. We could have 8 weeks to save summer for children like Poppy, so we'd launch it in May ahead of the summer holidays. We could have, I'm big in engagement and involvement, so we could have this maybe wall of wonder, which is one of the ideas, to add messages and show support. And we could actually do it a bit like a crowdfunder, but split it down by project. And we have, we only unlock, you level up. So the first project might be for £1,500. We have to fund that before we can fund the second project for 5,000, and then the third one might be 8, that, and then you build it up to that 150,000 target. Don't know if any of this is possible. But my fundraising brain was like, okay, I think we could build something based on this. So then it's about bringing the ideas to life. So again, what I asked AI to do, I basically said, okay, this is the direction I'm going in. I want you to develop 75 to 100 headlines based on the appeal. And and this is for a lead gen campaign. And I've got some frameworks that I've picked up of that work for hand raisers, like urgent, or in 2026 no child should XYZ, and so I give it these 5 frameworks that I know that work, and it generated 15 headlines for each one. What I would do is end up with 50, and then what I would do is create really simple ads for Facebook like this, put them all in one sort of campaign ad set, £10 a day for a week. Which are the ones that get clicks? Which of those statements resonate most and get the most clicks? And then from that, you can go from, okay, we've got the statement now, and we're looking probably for, ideally, if you're not getting clicks under 30p, it's probably not going to work as a campaign. For this, and you just send them to a landing page saying, thanks for your interest, sign up to a newsletter. We're planning to run a campaign soon, so we'd love to get your involvement. So you're just testing in the real world, but not spending a lot of time and money to see if your ideas have got legs. Then what you might do is, or what I did is, ask it to develop, and I'll go back and show you this, is based on the winning 5 or anything that meets your criteria. Can you create me ads based on this? And this is a AI created image, obviously. Don't want to use real images without the right permissions and everything. So if we go to here, I then asked it, so this is where I got the headline. So here's the 75, shouldn't, in 2026, shouldn't every child, I believe, etc. And then I just made up the top numbers with these five. Use the copywriter skill again to develop 5 meta ads for each statement. Want to mix a short and non-copy. Include case studies. Don't overuse one particular thing. Suggest images, videos, and reels to accompany the ads. The aim is to drive traffic to a landing page where people can add their name. And again, we open this up. I made a mistake in that prompt, and this is really important. Is I didn't define what I meant by short, medium, and long. So it took short as 180 words, took medium as 420, and long was 720, which is more like a direct mail appeal than a Facebook ad. Though I have tested long Facebook ads and they can work in certain circumstances, so don't necessarily rule it out. Yeah, that's interesting, Mark. I wonder what Mark, what Copilot said. Let me know. So we created all these different ads based on the winning ones. You can see here, what's the visual recommendation to go with it? What's the format? Who's the target? Here's the topic. This one, what's the visual? Well, this is a video, and here's some ideas for the video that we could do. And this is where I went back in and clarified. I should have been clearer. Short should be under 150 characters, etc. So then it develops me short ones. And you can see here, more like urgent, 8 weeks to create this, blah, blah, blah. So it creates all the ads for me and gives me ideas for creating videos and things like that. One of the ideas.
My granddaughter has a rare brain condition. Cerebra's Innovation Centre gave her real freedom. Supporting Summer of Wonder just felt right to me.
Just made my gift to Cerebra. If you fancy helping kids discover new adventures, join me as a wonder worker.
I just became a wonder worker with Cerebra. It's amazing how a small gift can bring a big change to a child's life.
So we're probably not going to get into the ethical discussion now, or whether you think AI should be using things to create user-generated content like this. One thing I would say is I know a lot of charities do pay content creators to create things. So where the line is, I don't know, but basically this was an automation to create ads. I can show you. This looks very scary and complicated. It sort of is to a degree, but I basically used a template. This is not my creation. So basically what it's saying here, I give it a brief. Open this up. So I get a brief. This is the Summer of Wonder campaign. Want the actors to be over 60, diversity, give a summary on the campaign here. Here's some scenes, summer garden, seaside promenade, community park, etc. I want them to talk about the appeal. And then it analyzes the brochure image, and then it basically, if we go into here, we give it a system prompt to how to create the images and what we want in the videos. So you can build these automations, and for me, this is more about creating prototypes rather than necessarily content that you would publish yourself. But you can get a feel for what things look like and feel like in a cheap. This cost under, it took 5 minutes to do and cost me under 50p. How much would it cost? So you can think about, well, would that work? And then create real versions of it. I'm not saying necessarily use these versions. It's more how it helps your imagination and your creativity to then create stuff. So I hope this is all helpful and useful. So what we do with that after that, I'll go back to present. And this is where I got it from. I'm a member of this community, Robo Nuggets, that share all these incredible frameworks. You can watch for free. and he tells you how to do it. But what he's really clever, he makes you pay for the frameworks and the bit to download it, which makes it much easier. So what we did then, I'll go back and show this is right. Okay, if we've got the lead gen, I now need a conversion plan. I now need to support a journey for these people. So again, we go into Claude. Oh no, I'll go back into the online one rather than the thing here. So we go back into the project. So here's the support a journey design, and what I've said here is this is the appeal, a launch, the call to action. We want a journey that's a mix of email, phone calls, and WhatsApp. Here's the potential opt-in rates for each one. And we're saying phone call because Cerebra has a contact center, call center, so they can call supporters. We want to make the most of that brilliant thing. And then design a journey to welcome and convert. Ask any clarifying questions. That's always a good thing to add into any prompts. We're using the support journey skill again to ask me these questions. What's the time frame? What's the conversion flow? You know, what's the donation amounts? Regular giving? What's the strategy? Clarify that. It gives me this idea here, but it should be all in the document. Oh no, it's put it all in here. But what it does spit out now afterwards gives you the architecture and what should be in it, the welcome, you know, potential content for the welcome. This is not perfect, but it's a really good starting point. And it's all built on proven frameworks and journeys that have been proven to work. Email, so there examples, example SMS to send or WhatsApp to send, meet the team, etc. So a whole journey's planned out, and you can again you can build and iterate from there. And we've created different segments within it and different touch points, depending on whether they've got the opt-in or not. So just to say, just before I've got a few more things to show you, but if this is interest and piqued your interest, we are going to be launching a course that goes into much more detail across 10 modules around AI for fundraising. We'll send you a link afterwards. I'm not going to do the hard sell now, but for just being on the webinar, we'll give you another £100 discount on it. But if this has whetted your appetite, then you know, we'd love to see you do the full course where we go through this step by step and take you on a journey from AI novice to sort of creating your own apps, which I'll show you in a minute. And if you want to use any of these skills that I've shown you, we'll give you access to those as well as part of the course and the community.
All we could do, I guess, is process it. Maybe wait.
So
send an email to
one of the things that comes up rightly is, well, Craig, I don't want all these subscriptions. I don't want to be paying 20 quid a month for Claude, 20 quid for chat. You know, it mounts up, and that's right. One of the things. Sorry, that is.
It's nearer, but it's still so far out.
So hopefully that will silence now. There's these aggregators where you can just put a couple of pound on and have a play about, and so you don't need to have like 20 different subscriptions for this. Yeah, Open Router. So one of the things I'm doing for a client, Mark, is building a user interface for a team that they can then access all the models. Yeah, Opus is expensive. You're right, absolutely. But it's a cost pay-as-you-go model, and you can test outputs from different models and things. But here for like video and content creation, you can use AI and WaveSpeed, and you get access to all the different models. Some of them are really cheap. You know, starting from like 1 or 2p an image. Videos might be like 15, 20p, and you can just have a play about, and they've got all these clever tools in there. I'll come on to this, but the other thing I really like is you can actually copy. If you see something you like, often Google and OpenAI want you to sort of play about and create things, so you can adapt the prompts to things that people are sharing. So I'll show you what I mean if we go back into Claude. So he's Key AI, where you can just go in and you can see all the different models, text to video, image to video, lip syncing, image generation, music generation. And you can see here, starting from 10 cents, 7.5 cents, 20, so if you go to image here, no, it doesn't, but you can see some of this is a pretty cheap, 0.004 of cents, so not even a penny to create an image with that if you want. So this is Flow TV in Google. So you can look at some of these videos here, and then you can see the prompt that's been used to create it. And you can steal that prompt and you can adapt it for your own use. You might not want a robot with an eye, but yeah, so you can see all these different things here. You can choose a different channel, and you can just chase what you see, so stained glass things there. So there's something you like and you think you can use it for your own work, you can absolutely take the prompt and adapt it, which I think is really, really great. So back to Cerebra, I'll get rid of that to do it. So the next thing, this is the stuff that has blown my mind probably in the last few weeks. They released something called Claude Code. Gemini's updated its stuff it's doing. So I wanted to take this wall of wonder idea and how I might make it interactive, because again, this is my fundraising knowledge and experience. I know that nostalgia is really powerful. I know leaving messages is a really good engagement involvement device. Can we combine the two? In the past, I'd have had to leave it there, or I'd have had to go to a designer. It'd have taken weeks, months, whatever. I created this in 10 minutes last night. I give Google, well, I first of all give Claude Code a prompt to create a website for this wall of wonder idea. And this is the website he created. Share your wonder, how it works, create some donate. There's a few bits missing here, but yeah, this is a Woodworks website. There's all the samples there. You can add your memory. So again, you can just see how something might work. This took one prompt and it then run for about 45 minutes doing it on itself. I find Google actually much better for user interface stuff. So again, I give it the same prompt, but I asked it to give me 5, rather than create the whole website and back end. I just wanted like a homepage demo. So here's a brief. Here's some sites that we like: crowdfunder, donors choose, 52 lives. Visitors are like to be over 50, so need to be accessible design. 5 mock-ups. Here's the brief. This is what he created for me in under 5 minutes. So he's one wall of wonder. And what you can do now is, I like that element. I like that bit. Don't like that bit. Here's the second one. This is taste Nana's homemade. Okay. No, not so keen on that one. I like this one. I like the photo. You can then take the different elements and the different bits from each one. So here's the 5. Here's just a form one. This is the easy read, etc. And then I did the same for the crowdfund as well. I said, give me 5 websites to do it. So this is how the crowdfunding might work. So we've already funded Henry's crutches. Now we're going to try and fund Henry's own robot arm. Once we've done that, we'll fund Imogen's helmet and then Arthur's fish tank. So it's almost like a totalizer, unlocking different levels as we go towards that thing, and we can donate. So there's that. We could do it as a road, could do it as a dashboard, do it as blocks. And again, you can go through now and say, so rather than, you've got creative ideas to iterate from and build from. And again, this would have cost thousands of pounds to get these built up. And I've done it in, like I said, 10 minutes with a prompt to get these ideas. And it's not whether you like them or not, because it's more, how do you use that technique? Because I've just used simple prompts here. If you've got specific needs, you can build that in, and you can develop richer content and things as well. So nearly at the end. So do share any things. I've got just a couple of other things that I've created to just show the tech. I've got big into what they call vibe coding, which is, I have no coding experience. It's not my area of expertise. it's not something that I'm a little bit technical, but not, I'm only like a 6 or 7 out of 10 at most on sort of technical expertise. He's a website. I had an idea for one of my clients, prostate cancer research, about taking their summer appeal and making a website based on pixel campaign. They had these images. The images they started off as a black and white image, and as you made a donation and sponsored a square, it turned into a color image, which was the research project that you were funding around MRI scanning for prostate cancer. We've raised over 10,000 in a week. We wish we made the grid bigger, frankly. But I had the idea on a Saturday. I had the sample website built in under an hour, and for costing me under £50, and I presented it to them as an idea and prototype on the Monday, and we had it live within a week from doing it. And then I have my other little project. This is a thing that we've been working on, a Facebook ads library. I'll show you the real version. And there's my details. So if I just go back in and show you that. So this is built on something called Replit. And again, you just put in what you want and it builds it. I have to go to the incognito file, don't we, here? So here we go. You can list your charities and add charities, and you can see what are the Facebook ads that they're doing now. You can do this manually in Facebook Ads Library, but it's really fiddly and time consuming. Whereas here, you can click on an ad, you can save it and sign up. It's not fully built yet, but you can see all the different ads and the videos, and you can save things and see what people are doing. So again, I can go from an idea to a fully functioning app in days and weeks, and I've played about. So I'm into my retention, and I always use the analogy of the leaky bucket. So this was something I built last week, where you can put in, right, I've got 2,000 donors, average gift £120, we get 300 a day. Our current attrition 28, we want to get it to 50. Here's my leaky bucket, plug the holes, that's worth extra 45,000 a year. Help you make the case. You can do it for regular giving as well. So these, I've got 20,000. Well, so you can see, quickly visualize how much increasing your retention's worth, which is great, having conversation with boards, with directors, when you're building the case to spend money on retention. So there's some ideas, taking on a journey from, campaign idea to, creating potential content, to then creating websites, to helping you build. So I hope that's been useful. Very happy to answer any questions. I'll just look in the chat. So yeah. So I think that AI brain creating, for Family Fund, just getting all your best content, your best stories, your annual report, getting it in a central place that it can access and work on. So yeah, that would be doing. And then you can, if you project planning and evaluation, you could probably build a skill for that and do some deep research on it that then will help you, develop frameworks and concepts for it as well.
Can I ask a follow-up question, Craig?
Yeah, of course you can.
With the AI brain, is it better, if we have a whole team of us, is it better to build one AI brain between all of us, or one individually? And how do we do one between all of us?
Yeah, so without getting too technical, so what Mark put in the chat earlier about something like Open Router, you could build, and this might be getting too complicated, but you could build an interface that all the team have access to, and so the AI brain sits in the background in what they call a vector database, which sounds very complicated. It's just basically a storage unit. Think of it as a storage unit that it can then access every time you send a request. So you're still using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever it is, but before it sends the request to OpenAI, it attaches the relevant information from your brain before doing it. So it things like that. Or you could just, from a data security point of view, I probably shouldn't say this, you could have a joint account with like an info at Family Fund org, where you create one brain that everyone can then access. If there's any IT security experts you can tell me off afterwards for suggesting that. So yeah, it's just understanding the team and do it. You can do it in Copilot, but in my testing, the outputs have been really poor. I've been disappointed with it. It just doesn't give the same quality of outputs as something like Gemini or OpenAI or Claude as well.
Amazing, thanks. That's really helpful. That's helpful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad everyone's enjoyed that. Mind blown.
Hi, Craig.
Thanks for pretend you didn't hear that.
Hi, Craig. It's Seema.
Hi, Seema.
I was just wondering, so I use ChatGPT a lot, but from your session, I've seen that you switch between Claude, you do use ChatGPT, Copilot. So is it a good way to use all of those interchangeably, depending on what they can do? Because for me, I've just felt like I've used everything into ChatGPT, and I use Canva a lot, so a bit like you, to do the prompts in ChatGPT, and then if I am doing a campaign or a presentation, put it into Canva AI, and then whatever it comes out, and then I use my kind of brain or whatever it is to make it make sense, because a lot of it does shoot out gibberish. But the templates there, the crux of it's all there. So do you use one more than the other, or you use them all interchangeably?
So 6 months ago, I said OpenAI, it multi-use, it can do most things, get to know that and do that really well. Gemini leveled up and Claude has sort of leveled up, and now I find Claude gives the best all-round output, and those skills I just think are priceless for my work and what I do and things.
Yeah.
So one of the things that someone taught me that I thought was really clever is you can, if you've got one output in OpenAI, you can put it in Claude and say, OpenAI have said this.
Yeah.
I know you're better than them. Can you?
Yeah.
How would you improve what it said? You sort of compete them against each
Oh,
other.
that's brilliant. Yeah, that's good.
And that can work quite well. Which really made me laugh the first time I did it, because it was funny. You can also, and I don't know if you've tried this yet, Seema, you can connect Canva direct to OpenAI now and to Claude and send your instructions from OpenAI direct to Canva, and it'll create things without having to flip between the two. It's really quite mind-blowing
amazing.
stuff.
I haven't
Really.
tried that, to be honest. And obviously, the other question I just wanted to ask is, obviously for the enhanced versions and things like that, it's always a paid subscription at the end. Which one do you think is more economical? And I guess it depends on your needs and stuff, but which one have you found?
It does. I've just because I've been using Claude more, I was on the £20 a month, and I was on the same for the basic for Gemini and ChatGPT. I have been maxing out my Claude recently, so I've had that upgrade to, I think it's £50 a month now.
Yeah.
I think it's cost is a consideration, especially depends how much you're using it. I'm probably like in the top 5% user, so I can justify having accounts. But if you're not, pick one. They're all can do clever stuff. Just pick one and get to know that. At the minute, my recommendation would be Claude. But ask me in a month, it might be back to OpenAI, and a month after that, it might be back to Gemini and things. But they've all got strengths. So Gemini is brilliant at image generation. Nano Banana is insane what it can do in terms of text generation and things. But you can get so many credits free, or you can use it via the wave speed apps and things. So that I shared. So again, it's just thinking your use cases and then probably sticking with one, unless you've got lots and lots of different use cases.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you, Ben.
Hi, Craig. Thanks so much for that. I was really impressed with your Notebook LM repository. It looked like everything Craig has learned over the last 25 years. And so my first cheeky question is, how much are you selling access to that for? But probably the more real question is, how are you getting that information into the other platforms? So there's so much data in there, and obviously you want to access that brain through OpenAI or Claude or whatever, and what's the kind of mechanism for that? Or is it just making duplicates of that database and copying it across?
No, so I'll share my screen again, because it's probably easier to show you. So you see the reports thing here. So what I can do is ask it for a report on a specific topic, and I can then take that into Claude. Plus, I mentioned I've got these deep research things that I've done. So that's a deep research there. I don't know if it's Gemini or Claude or which way. So what I tend to do for each of these topics, I'll create a deep research report on Perplexity, Claude, Gemini, and OpenAI. I'll delete any duplication, but basically I'll merge that in together into one thing, and that's what I'll take. I'll upload it into here, but that's what I'll upload into Claude as a starting point to develop the skills. So it brings out the best thing. And then you can use this as you can ask questions within this as well, Ben. So you can use it. There is now, and this is getting quite advanced, but there's something called an MCP now, which is basically just almost like a standard language for talking between models and systems. So it's like an advanced API, and basically you can connect your notebook now to Claude and interrogate the notebook from Claude, and then use that output within Claude as well. That's getting quite technical, but that is feasible and possible now as well, Ben. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, amazing. Definitely answers the second one.
Yeah. And obviously, as part of this course that I'm running, yeah, you'll have access to all these things, and you can ask me to run reports, and we'll do that for you as part of the package for this course, and help you build your own as well. But the idea is to create this fundraising brain that anyone can access as part of the community we're creating from that as well. Lovely. Any final questions or comments before we finish up? Great. Well, thank you so much for coming along. I hope it's been useful. If any of you are members of Rob Wood's Bright Spot membership, I'm doing a talk next week on the AI brain stuff in a bit more detail. And if you've got any questions, I'll send a follow-up email. The links to the slides will be in there. There'll be some of the prompts I've used, some of the, links to the tools that I've shared. But feel free, reach out if you want any help doing this within your own cause and charity, and be delighted to have a chat. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesdays. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.